I've seen too many people rush out the door with a bargain bin mini projector, only to end up squinting at a washed-out screen or fighting with a lamp that quits after a few months. The regret comes from that false confidence that any projector will do when you actually need something that can hold up in a bright living room or a conference hall. That's why I wanted to pause before I hit buy on the BenQ LU935 and see if it really feels like a smarter investment or just another pricey disappointment. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. When I started researching, the first thing I asked myself was, will this unit survive the everyday chaos of a home theater that doubles as a family movie night spot, and also the occasional business presentation? The LU935 promises a laser light source, which immediately caught my eye because lasers don't need the regular bulb swaps that cheap DLP models demand. In practice, that translates to a hassle-free experience: no waiting for a replacement lamp, no sudden dimming mid-presentation, and a claimed lifespan that stretches well beyond the typical 3,000-hour ceiling you see on lamp-based projectors. For anyone who plans to fire it up a few nights a week, that longevity is more than a convenience, it's a cost saver. Brightness is another make-or-break factor. At 6,000 ANSI lumens, the LU935 sits comfortably above the dim room-only category. I set it up in a medium-sized living room with a wall-mounted screen, and even with the lights on at 50% and some daylight filtering through the windows, the image stayed crisp and vivid. That kind of output lets you avoid the dreaded black bars, or the need to black out the room, which is a huge win for families with kids who don't want to sit in darkness for a movie. If you're looking at a conference space with ambient lighting, the same brightness means you won't have to rely on a separate screen or a darkened auditorium to make slides legible. Resolution-wise, the WUXGA panel, 1920x1200, offers a step up from the more common 1080p models you see in the budget segment. The extra vertical pixels give you a little more headroom for spreadsheet rows, design mock-ups, or those occasional 16:10 presentations that don't fit neatly into a 16:9 canvas. In a home theater scenario, the difference is subtle but noticeable. When you sit close to the screen, text looks sharper, and the image feels a tad more cinematic, because you're not forced to compress content into a low-resolution grid. Connectivity can make or break a projector's usefulness, especially if you juggle laptops, game consoles, and streaming sticks. The LU935 comes with 2 HDMI inputs and an HD-T port, which is essentially a single cable solution for video, audio, and even Ethernet in some setups. I found the HD-T particularly handy when I ran a long cable run from my media closet to the ceiling-mounted projector. It reduced the mess of multiple cords and kept the signal stable. For a small office that needs to switch between a PowerPoint deck and a video call without fumbling with adapters, that flexibility is a genuine productivity booster. Installation is often where the rubber meets the road. The projector includes 2-dimensional keystone correction, allowing you to fine-tune the image when you can't place the unit perfectly square to the screen. In my test, I mounted it a few degrees off-axis to avoid a ceiling joist, and the keystone feature trimmed the distortion without a noticeable loss in sharpness. That said, the LU935 doesn't offer lens shift or a motorized zoom, so you still need a decent amount of physical space to get the ideal throw distance. If you're cramped into a tiny bedroom or a short-throw home theater niche, you'll have to either reposition the furniture or look at a different model designed for ultra-short throw. Now, who should actually consider spending on the LU935? First, anyone who runs a mixed-use space. Think a home office that doubles as a weekend cinema will appreciate the blend of brightness, resolution, and laser reliability. Small to medium conference rooms that host client pitches or internal briefings will also benefit. The high lumens keep slides readable under normal office lighting, and the HD-T port simplifies cabling when the projector is tucked away in a ceiling mount. If you're a gamer who wants a large screen experience without needing